Whatever your feelings about Nigel Farage and his politics, you have to acknowledge his popularity, his staying power. Take today, crisscross the country, bout after bout. Round one, Gordon Brown's gloves-off attack on where the Brexit Party's money comes from.
And you pay money not to become a member, but to become a supporter, and you pay through PayPal, and you cannot discover whether the money is coming from foreign sources or British sources.
The allegation that the Brexit Party was receiving large numbers of small donations, under £500, which is within the rules, but payments nonetheless that were undeclared, untraceable. At the same time, Nigel Farage was in Newcastle, and word filtering through that the Electoral Commission said it would go to his party offices tomorrow to, quote, review the systems in place when it came to donations. This was off the back of Gordon Brown's comments. Round two, Farage's parry to the clunking fist.
Reaction to Gordon Brown saying it's time you revealed who your donors are.
Absolutely disgusting smear. I mean, this from the man who was part of a Labour Party who, through Lord Levy, were, shall we say, making a lot of big donors members of the House of Lords. How dare! How dare he! Most of our money is being raised by people giving £25 to become registered supporters.
Round three, Newcastle, and the unfortunate new symbol of disagreement without debate, the milkshake attack. But, more seriously, news that a second MEP, Molly Scott-Cato of the Greens, was referring Mr Farage to the European Anti-Fraud Office.
£13,000 for the house in Chelsea paid for by Aaron Banks? True or not true?
So is there a European election next week?
All of this sparked by a Channel 4 News investigation last week. It showed that during the months after the referendum, Nigel Farage, MEP, received approximately £450,000 of undeclared financial support from Aaron Banks.
Now, the rules from the European Union are quite clear in terms of MEPs receiving money, how they declare it, etc. And the allegation is that Nigel Farage, in not declaring those funds, broke those rules.
Mr Farage has subsequently said he didn't declare the money at the time because he was about to leave politics and had been seeking a new life in the US. But he was still an MEP. So today in Wakefield, we wanted to ask him about this.
Nigel Farage is doing interviews with the media on the top deck of the bus. He's not getting off the bus probably because of the incident with the milkshake earlier today. The BBC, ITV have queued up and are getting interviews. Channel 4 News have been barred from the bus. We have been told we're about the only broadcaster here and not allowed to do one-to-one interviews.
We were told we were banned because of an incident 6 weeks ago and were unaware of the ban until our investigation was broadcast last week. Before that, we had full access to Brexit Party events. We did try to talk to Richard Tice, though, chairman of the Brexit Party.
Did Nigel break the rules, the transparency rules for the European Union? Richard, can I give you a quick copy of the rules?
Nice to see you.
In the absence of an interview, we tried to give Mr Farage a copy of the European Parliamentary Code of Conduct for what MEPs are supposed to declare.
Dan, will you give that to Nigel for me?
If there is any sort of investigation, and it's still a big if, the European parliamentary elections, of course, on Thursday, will be a distant memory.
Well, we did ask Nigel Farage or a representative of the Brexit Party for an interview. Nobody was available. Just before we came on air, I spoke to Catherine Bearder, who, as well as being a Liberal Democrat MEP in the European Parliament, was one of 5 questors. Those are the people, the politicians elected to scrutinise the finances and administration of members of the Parliament. I asked her what she was now planning to do about all this.
Well, I have written to the President and the services to alert them to the fact that there seems to be a lot of spending going on and money coming into Farage's activities that are not showing up on his record as on the public record in the Parliament. So the services are very good. They do try and keep an eye on MEPs, but my role as a questor is to inform them if I see some wrongdoing, and that's why I've written this letter.
I mean, I wouldn't want to be too crude about this, but some people might argue that the Parliament has been fairly loose about expenses and the rest of it over the years. Has he been really out of kilter with anybody else?
Oh, absolutely, and Nigel Farage has been fined before, as have other MEPs who have misspent the Parliament's money. They're very good at doing that, and they keep an eye on us all. But sometimes they can't see everything, and that's why I in my role as Quaestor, I thought it was important that I brought that to the attention of the Parliament and the services, while everybody else has got their eye on something else at the moment.
And if he's found to have in some way abused the rules, what happens?
Well, it depends on how money has been spent, but there are options that the President can take. He can fine him, he can deduct some of his allowances for attending. I mean, not that Nigel attends that much, but they can be financial. What they can't do is take away their vote, but he's hardly ever there to do a vote anyway, so hitting him in the pocket is probably all that the President can do at the moment.
You talk about Mr. Farage as an individual, but he's also a member of a party, and the Electoral Commission here is investigating that party. Do the powers exist in the Parliament in Europe to investigate a party?
They can do if it is a registered European party, and that is different from the electoral registration legislation that applies in the United Kingdom. So if there is money going to a European party, as UKIP has already been fined for misusing their money in the last Parliament, they can investigate that too. But the Electoral Commission is just dealing with a registered party in the United Kingdom, whereas what the Parliament looks at is the MEP as an individual.
The problem surely is that actually these sort of investigations take a very long time, and it may well be that if he is in any way found to be wanting in this regard, it may happen to him many years into his tenure if he wins. It
won't be years. It has to be done correctly, and so it has to be done with amount of time, but it isn't years. If they found that there's been misappropriation of funds, then they will know that within months, I'm sure.
Catherine Bearder, thank you very much indeed for joining us. Thank you.